hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An
Hi,
absolute
Sarah.
pleasure to be able to speak to you today.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe you can kick off with a brief introduction to See How They Run. What can audiences expect if they watch it?
See How They Run is the story of two detectives. I'll start again. See How They Run is the story of two detectives played by Sam Rockwell, Saoirse Ronan, who are uncovering a mystery around a murder that has taken place in the West End of London, in London's Theatreland. And it's a murder mystery that's also about murder mysteries. It's a thriller, but it's also a comedy. It's many things and hard to describe in a short sentence, as you've seen.
And it doesn't seem like the obvious place to go after your series, This Country.
Yeah.
So where did the idea come from? Were you an Agatha Christie fan? But of course, when we see the comedy that you've injected into it, we can perhaps see that common thread. So maybe you can just say from your perspective how you moved into this film and where the inspiration came from.
Yeah, I hope there's a common thread to This Country. I think there is. We were just finishing making the final series of This Country when I first read the script for See How They Run. And although on the surface they seem like chalk and cheese, there are some common threads to the two things when you look a little deeper, I think. Of course, it's a murder mystery, but at its heart, it's a character comedy driven by these two brilliant performances by Sam and Saoirse. But also, whereas in This Country you've got the sort of mockumentary form, and that's in play with the events that are going on in terms of story and comedy. So in See How They Run, you have the whodunit as an extra layer, and the history of the whodunit, and the way that these films and novels tend to work, and the audience's understanding of how they work. So the whodunit kind of becomes a character in the piece as well, in a way. And so it kind of felt both like the right amount of different and from This Country, and also similar enough in certain ways that made me feel like I was the right person to do it, I suppose.
It's just impeccably put together. I mean, every scene, could almost be a painting or a photo.
Thank you.
So where did you begin with the look and feel of the film, with the 1950s kind of aesthetic, but in kind of a playful way, but also shooting in the pandemic? Because in some ways it must have been a challenge, but you also got access to theatres and inside interiors you might not have done otherwise.
Yeah. Where to start with all of that? I suppose, what was clear to me from the script was that this wanted to feel like a vivid, fully realised depiction of 1950s London, and not how we'd quite seen it before, not that sepia-tinted post-war London film that we've seen quite a lot of times. Too many? Quite a lot of times. But at the same time, it's a period film, but it's rooted in a sort of modern perspective and tone. And so many of the decisions that we had to make as a team were, how do we reflect that? How do we support that in production design and in costume design and in music and in the cinematography? How do we create something that feels familiar in the same way that a whodunit feels familiar to an audience, but then also put a twist on it and tell them, look, it's not quite what you might expect.
And it seems like you put together kind of your dream team of actors. It's kind of all the people that I love, from both the US and from the UK, from Harris Dickinson, to Ruth Wilson, to Charlie Cooper. How did you put them all together?
Yeah, it was really like fantasy football for acting, and you've got your budget and but you've used up a big chunk of it on your Adrian Brody, and so then you need a Charlie Cooper to just like flesh out the squad, basically. No, it was like, that was the most amazing thing about the whole process, was being able to bring Charlie Cooper and Paul Chahidi, but who I'd worked with for so many years on This Country, into this incredible ensemble featuring, the likes of Saoirse Ronan, Sam Rockwell, Adrian Brody, David Oyelowo. And then, along with other comedy heroes of mine like Reece Shearsmith, Sian Clifford, Tim Key, and to see them all come together as an ensemble and feel like they're creating a world together that feels consistent and everyone feels like they belong there, is like really, really special.